really happy you're doing this, honestly. It's just the
It's such a hard topic for so many people. Like we
Yep.
all struggle with pitching.
Yeah, it is.
Still today.
I don't know. I feel like for most freelance, especially, I think I'll just kind of tell the story. I think I saw something Chima, Chima Meji, the lady, she posted about how especially for people of color, African freelancers, and I try to, I mean, like I these days I try to, say that with a bit of, um I step easily when I say that, because especially with this community I'm building, one thing I'm trying to achieve is to ensure that, look, we know that there's a problem out there in the world, but also, try not to adopt the victim mentality, because I think like that also kind of slows you down. Just take it
Yeah.
on. I mean, yeah, that there's a problem with the world, but just take it on. What something Chima said about how some people just have the confidence to just talk and just say stuff, and you're like, are you sure you even know what you're saying? You get,
Uh, yeah,
you
that
know,
happens too much.
you a lot actually. And so for me, basically, part of why I really wanted to do this was, because I feel like a lot of us still struggle to just pitch ourselves. A lot of us struggle to say what we can do. A lot of us struggle to articulate, like, or we just hold on to crappy clients because we're scared that we can't get new ones. So we just say, you know what, I'll just manage them. I'll manage all the bullshit, and I'll just keep on going till when I can, and then someday. But yeah,
Someday may or may not ever come. And yeah.
yes. So I guess we'll just start off.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll start off by asking you to introduce yourself, and or maybe I'll just talk. I'll just explain like what we're going to talk about. It's more like it's a conversation, literally, basically. Talk about what we're going to talk about, and then you get introduce yourself, and we'll just speedball. I'll just probably just ask questions. We'll talk about our experience with Pointed, which is an amazing one, by the way. Still the best agency I've worked with, and then we'll also talk about, every other single thing we have set out here. So hi everyone, this is Not Enough Writers. We call this the pitch series. This is probably the first one we are hosting. The idea here is just to kind of give every member of the community a chance to learn how to sell themselves. Because like I had said earlier on LinkedIn, if you're a content marketer, a writer, and you can't sell yourself or you can't sell your story, I mean, honestly, like, what are you doing? It's like, what are you really doing? So you need to learn to be, you need to be able to pitch yourself to a content marketing a content marketing manager. You need to pitch yourself to an editor. You need to pitch yourself to you need to pitch yourself to, what's it called, like, basically to an agency. And I remember when I sent Brittany my first pitch, like I said her email and said, hey, this is dossier, I'm XXX, this is my blogs, what I've done, and so that's something like I want everyone to learn. So you probably hear a bit of my story, how I was able to convince Brittany to give me a retainer. And then we'll talk about all we have here. Honestly, I'll Brittany introduce herself, but she's the most amazing person I've worked with. I'm saying this not because she's here, but because that's true. So Brittany, over to you. Like, just tell us who you are and all that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the flattering intro. No, the feeling is so mutual. And yes, I mean, so basically my background, I was freelance for a long time. I actually had, I guess I have to go like way back, but I'll try to keep it quick. I'm sure you can probably tell from my accent that I'm from the USA. I'm from Indiana. It's like a northern Midwestern state, nothing special. After college, I did the whole thing where you're like, what am I really doing with my life? And so even though I studied like marketing and telecommunications, which back then was like, people were still trying to figure out like digital marketing and what all was really encompassed within that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you have the degree, but nobody gives you that first like step into like, and now this is your career. And so in that space, I ended up waiting tables, serving cocktails, you know. I got a government job because it was just like, whatever, it's 9 to 5, it's, you know. And then I met my husband, who's from Cyprus. He's Greek Cypriot, and his green card, well, he didn't have a green card. He was on a visa, like a student visa that expired. So we're like, what do we want to do? Let's just try Cyprus. And then a couple years, we'll move back to the States. But I ended up really loving life in Cyprus. And so I live here now. But again, it's way different job market than the US. So I ended up in an event management role doing like B2B events for a British company that had an office here in Cyprus. After a while, I was traveling a lot for that role. It was really a really cool job. I got to host events all over the world. Obviously, this was before COVID, so in-person events were still a part of life. But after I had my first child, my daughter, I was just, you know, and I'd been there 7 years, like I needed a change. But the part about the job I always liked most was the content production, like the actual content for the event. Loved writing up the descriptions of each session. And I knew, I mean, even back in college, like people would laugh about stuff like, what, you know, careers or whatever. And I'd always say, I want to write the back of DVDs. Like, you know, those little descriptions on the back of the DVD that tells you what the movie's about. I was like, that's what I want to do when I get out of here. Thank God I didn't pursue that path.
Because like literally that industry is dead. Like
that one's gone. But yeah, but like writing was always a spark, you know, within me. I just had no clue that it could be like an actual career. I mean, that was such a foreign concept to me. So when I left my cush job here in Cyprus in events, people were like, well, what the hell are you going to do? I was like, well, I'm going to try to do this freelance writing thing. And they're like, that's cute. You know, you're not going to find any jobs here in Cyprus doing that. You're not going to, you know, and this was back in 2016. So from there, like I went down the coaching rabbit hole. I'm sure some people have been there where you're just like, you're absorbing like all this information of all these people who are more successful than you. Maybe the whole imposter syndrome thing starts getting triggered. And I spent about a year in that space. And then finally, I got serious about pitching with the help of a couple of really good coaches, Jenny Barris and Alex Krasinski of the Six and Up community. And I just did a month of massive action pitching. I was on the job boards and I was doing cold pitching. And I haven't had to prospect for work since. I hit 6 figures and I just kept it going. Yeah, fed the machine. Yeah, I mean, you know, not, but yeah, we're good.
yeah, I get it. Like, yeah, I mean, like, you know what's the most interesting part about this is that it feels like, and I don't know about others, but you know, like for me, I think I said this to you. It feels like almost everybody who writes kind of started really early. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people kind of start not, and most of the times you didn't know you were going to be a writer. Like for me, for example, when I was a kid, I know that between the ages of I'd say like 7 and 11, I lived in my head. So I usually had a book where I used to write. I would leave in my head for hours, and then I would just go write all the stories down. You know, I'm still so sad that I lost that manuscript, honestly, because I used to always say to myself, what if you had published that book of short stories? It was I remember actually like what the book looked like. It was some long form A4 book that I called it those years book of short stories, and I would just write stuff in it and write stuff in it. And then when we moved states, because we moved from the north part of Nigeria to the eastern part. You know, we did that. Like I lost that book, and then I just stopped writing. I just said, I'm not going to write again because I couldn't find that book.
Oh,
You know, and then yeah, and then and then, yeah. So and then one day I was talking to a friend, and he was like, "Yo, look, all this you're saying, go and write them down. You just go put it down somewhere." You know, and then I started writing on Medium. You know, and started penning my thoughts again. You know, and I kind of found the love again. And then I now started trying to write professionally, you know, before I now move to, and it's kind of linked to this thing you talk about pitching, because before I now move to the stage where I start saying, what's it even like to even write? So it's content writing, content marketing. I start learning that space and understanding what's going on there.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think so I actually wonder, and maybe this conversation will kind of help me, because I actually wonder where I learned to pitch, whether because of my career and stuff I did that allowed me to be able to kind of um pitch, or was I just lucky, honestly? Because like as I gain more experience in this industry and in marketing itself, I start to understand that like this skill is the most, like, it is extremely important. Like if you can't do it, like, yo,
Yeah.
just like you're stuck. Like you're just gonna be stuck somewhere, and you're wondering why you never could move a step above. And so just kind of structure the conversation for everyone who's listening. So like we'll be discussing four things, and you already kind of put it out on LinkedIn, but I'll just kind of repeat it. So like first of all, how to find quality clients who pay well. Extremely important. Making bank is everything. And how to structure your pitch. Yeah, so that you can always increase your conversion rates. How to send a high number of applications out there without losing quality, because I think that's a problem people have, and it's happened to me a couple of times where you say to yourself that you want to send 10 applications today to agencies and editors, and then by the fifth, sixth one, you're now start just copy and pasting, like it's because you're tired, you're wondering like why, like, just whoever answers is gonna answer me. And then lastly, and I think for me this is extremely important to most of the people who are part of our communities, how do you break free of crappy gigs? Like, because as a writer, it's so easy to say, let's just manage. Because I've been that myself before. I mean, let's just manage and just call it the crappy money and the insults and the stuff that come with it, because you're not sure that you're going to get one if you go out there. So yeah, let's kind of kick off, and I'll just kind of start with basically, how do you find clients? Like, how do you decide? How do you decide? What's quality, what's not quality? How do you filter for clients? Like, because I feel like that's like the basic, like the first step to take before you even start saying how do you even structure your pitch.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think the first thing is to think about what really just gets you excited. I think a lot of people talk about niches, right? Or niche. I don't really, how do you pronounce that word? I don't know. I'm gonna go with
I mean,
niche.
there's British, there's American, there's African. Anyone you pronounce is good right now.
Yeah. So you choose your niche, whatever. Choose your, take your choice. But yeah, I think basically I don't really subscribe to that so much, right? Just choose this niche, and then what happens is everyone goes, oh, finance is the most profitable niche, so I'm gonna become a finance writer. But you don't give a shit about taxes. You don't really care about, I mean, that stuff's putting you to sleep. And we've all had that experience of like work that feels like you're having to crank it out, and work that it feels easier. Obviously the work that feels easier is always going to be the one that you enjoy. So start there to find your niches or whatever. Just even just having a think or a look around your house of like, what are the things that I have here that I love doing, I love stationery. I'm like a sucker for like all the like way overly priced like stationery. So maybe I'll go and pitch that company my goals or whatever. It can be that simple, or you can also look at it like, what experiences have I had in my life that make me really freaking angry? And I know that sounds like a really weird way to find your niches or the companies that you want to pitch, the industries that you want to pitch. And I say plural because again, I'm not the person who will say, become a real estate writer and just do that for the rest of your life. Like I could never, I would die of boredom. But I know a lot of people make, if that's like your one passion and you want to get in, like that's fine. And it works really well for a lot of people, just not for me. But yeah, so I think like thinking back through my own past, one of the things that really like would make me angry was the way that I was treated as a middle manager in corporate world. There was just all the politics and the red tape. I hated it. So I thought, let me
Cheers.
pitch, right? I mean, if you can relate, like,
It's a global problem, honestly. I now agree it's a global problem. Like humans will just be humans. That's all.
I mean, keep it simple. So I was like, let me see what's happening in that industry. Tech is disrupting HR, and there's all these cool tools to help people collect feedback from their employees and make it a two-way thing. So I got a lot of jobs doing that in the early days. Performance management. One of our longest clients is Breezy HR. They've been with me since 2018.
Yeah.
Shout out to Breezy, amazing applicant tracking system. And we write about things that we're passionate about there. We go against the grain and talk about what's really wrong with hiring and stuff like that. So I think that when you tap into that passion, even if it's like a source of pain or anger, it can lead you to a niche to pitch. So I think that's probably like the first step with finding clients. And I know there's like a whole bunch of other things that are there. So I don't know.
But I that's actually extremely interesting, honestly, if you think about it. Because when if you type how to, I just say to people that the most popular Google suffix or prefix rather is how to. Just type how to. So if you type how to pitch, basically, like that's the first. You get that niching thing is a big issue. So people say to you, like, find the profitable niche and go right for the profitable niche. I'm like, huh?
Really?
Yo, are you? So if you don't enjoy it, you're going to write about it. And then at some point in and what people don't get about that starts to happen to them is that you try that, and then you probably can manage when you're writing the basic articles. But when you start trying to get into thought leadership pieces or trying to get into pieces where you don't have to do customer interviews, just like the ones we used to do for all those, because to pull out those kind of stories, or that, by the way, that your formula is the bomb, honestly. Like it still blows my mind every time I think about it. So to put together those customer interviews, to pull out those insights, if you don't love those stories, you can't see the stories, if that makes sense. Like if you don't, you can't see the thread if you don't love it. Like you have to, because to find the thread, you have to understand it. And so if you say something like, oh, you're saying, you know what, because it's the most profitable, I want to make money, so I'll go after it. You'll catch up with you probably in the next couple of months or in a year if you're extremely strong. Yeah, so that's the thing. I think so. Just to kind of just move on with that. The next question I'll probably ask them. This is just like, so your rate is extremely, really, really, really amazing. Like 1 in 5. That's like that's like 20%. Like boom, boom. It's just like So how do you structure your pitch to ensure that like when clients or when potential clients see, they're like, yo, I want to work with this team?
Yeah, a great question. So before I answer that though, I want to just go back one step to finding, because before you send the email, you do need to make sure that they have the budget, right? So I think one tip for that is to just look at companies that have revenue of 5 million and over, because they'll typically have a healthy marketing budget. So that's just one parameter you can keep in mind. And that's if you're trying to get clients at the higher end, right? Like to your point about skills earlier, like if you're in the space where you are not yet like able to show up confidently in your skills, I think it's okay to pitch companies that are smaller than that, local companies, agencies, and get the samples and get the experience and build up your confidence. Just don't get stuck there.
Yeah.
Right? Just don't get stuck there. If you're looking at it as a side hustle, right, and you just want that extra income, maybe that's fine. But like if you want to progress your income, then yeah, you need to sit down and prepare those emails to the right people with the budget. So when it comes to doing that, I think there are, I want to say 3, unless I'm forgetting something, main things that need to go into the email. So the first one is just like enthusiasm. And I know that sounds like so cheesy, but like it's like what we're talking about, right? Like I need to see that you have like a spark in your heart. Oh my God, this sounds so cheesy, but like you actually
it's true, actually. I completely agree with you.
Right? Like there's no way to say it that just doesn't sound, but like you have to show them that you actually care, right? So now that I'm on the other side and I've got a small copywriting agency, I have writers regularly popping into my DMs, sending me emails, and a lot of them, I mean, that's one thing I saw immediately from your email, Dozier. And I think our amazing intern Mujidat, who's also on this call, same thing. Like you guys sent me emails and it was like I could feel the energy coming off the email. Like I could, like, this person wants this, you know, like, and that's step one, because I get a lot of emails from people, a lot of messages from people, and it's just like, you're messaging me, but like you don't really want this. Like you don't really want to do B2B copywriting. Like I'm not feeling that from you, you know? So the first thing is like awesome intro. You know, what can you say about their work that um that is exciting, that actually you mean it, you know? Like I love the way you guys are flipping the script on HR practices, you know, just even something as general as that as your intro. Or I saw your recent, you know, ebook on X and I was like, this is the best approach to this angle to this topic or whatever, you know, like give them a compliment, let them know that you're paying attention to what they're doing and that you're excited about what they're doing. You want to be a part of their club, and they're already going to start looking at you that way because they're doing it. Like they're grinding every day. Like they're, you know, if anything, they're getting a bit disillusioned with all the work that they have to do, right? They're feeling like worn down. Now here's this person coming in with this fresh energy. Like already I'm interested, right? If I need help, like I'm interested in hiring this person.
Yeah.
So enthusiasm is one, and that's just, you know, I think if you can personalize it, keep it honest, you're always going to win. And again, that does get hard the more you send out, but yeah, we can talk about, I mean, usually, I guess now's a good time to talk about that. For that, I usually just go to one of three places: about page, you know, because a lot of times if it's a well-written about page, they'll have their something
Yeah, why?
about the essence, their why, exactly. And you can flip that back and show them that you understand that in your email. The services page, again, just to make sure you have a good understanding. You don't need to know exactly what they do and how they do it and how they make their sausage. You just need to have a grasp of what they do and, you know, feel a bit, at least a little bit excited about that. And then the third place is social media. So I'm not big on, I've never really used social media for prospecting. I think if you are doing that and it's working for you, like if you have momentum there, absolutely double down on it. Like whatever's working for you already.
Yeah.
If you're happy with what's coming in, the quality of the leads and the quality of the contracts, double down on that. It was never something for me, but I used it for lead intel. Okay, so I would, if I'm pitching the founder, which I usually go as high as I can, if I'm pitching the founder or the CEO, I will pop by their Twitter and be like, what's this person ranting about? You know, like, do I have anything? Can I join that conversation? Like, what could I, you know? And then I can say something in my email like, loved your rant on X topic, like, you know, hands raised, like, you know, whatever, just to build that camaraderie from the beginning. So that's one,
Yeah.
that's the enthusiasm.
Okay.
Um, anything there that's
No, I mean, like, yeah. So I mean, like, I think that's for me, like, that's extremely important. Because and that's why I was laughing when you were talking about it being cheesy because it is cheesy, but it is real and it is what gets it done. Like
yeah, yeah, it's what
we
gets it
live in
done.
a yeah, we live in a world where we try to be woke a lot about certain things, but like, and in that being woke, we either overdo or we don't do at all. As you
Mhm.
sometimes I just say, you know what, just be yourself.
Yeah,
And if you can't, like, if you can't communicate energy across the email, then you really
it's not going
can't.
to convert. It won't convert.
Yeah,
So don't
yeah,
send it.
exactly.
It's better to send
Yeah.
2 inspired pitches in a day than
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
20 just,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it does take more out of you. But I don't think, you know, on the flip side, it doesn't have to be this like insane process where you're going down this rabbit hole and learning a company's whole history and you know the founder's bio inside and out. No, 2 minutes on the about page, 2 minutes on the services page, 2 minutes on their social media, and you know what they're thinking about right now. And that's all you need to know, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll just call out something you just said again, and because I think it's extremely important. So, because when I started out in industry, what I kept on hearing was that, look, you have to send out, 10 to 20 pitches out every single day. If you don't do that, you're not going to get the kind of clients you want. And I did that. I did send out at some point. That's when I sent out 15, 20 a day. And like I was telling one of my friends some days ago, I think she's even here, I was saying to her that, look, I was like, the amount of rejection letters I've gotten in my life, I'm not sure. I'm not scared of rejection anymore. Like, it doesn't faze me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are not. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Sorry, the position has been filled. Da, 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 da. There's no fit. Da, 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 da. But I found out that I started getting more success when I started saying to myself, like, okay, so who do you want to work with? That's first of all. Why do I want to work with you? And what can I learn from you? Like, for me, like, those are the three things I ask myself now. Like, who do I want to work with? Why? And what can I learn from you? When I put those three together, that's what drives the email I sent to the person. Like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it, and this is why I want to do it. And I think for me, like, that's my own formula. And I don't know if that helps anyone, but that's my own formula for kind of just saying, can you pour your authentic self into the email, especially in a world where, because whether we like it or not, we're kind of stuck in this mode for the next couple of years. We will go back to some form of normal, but working itself will always have a mix of the E in it nowadays. So you literally have to learn how to sell yourself with over a digital medium, because that's very different. Physically, you can always project your energy to the person, but over a digital medium where you're just sending a chat or a voice note or something, it's a very different kettle of fish. So I think you mentioned there were like three things for the email. You said one, the other two.
Yeah, yeah. And I love your point about like, yeah, also what you can learn from them, because I think if you get the right client, you will learn a lot from them, and that will take you to the next level. Like each client I've had, took me to another level. So now I can confidently offer this service because I've had experience doing it with this client. So yeah, I think that's a awesome tip. The second thing I think that really has to be in your cold pitch is some kind of data. This is again my approach. Like, it worked for me. And the thing I like about this one is that it links back to what you were saying at the beginning of this call, those where you're talking about skills and how important it is to like really want to master your craft. For a while, so I didn't do like the 10 or 15 a day, but I did 5 a day.
Okay.
And so my daily routine while I was in massive action pitching mode was an hour of learning in the morning. And I can remember the moment I discovered that tip. I was like so sad that day. I was in my car. This is so embarrassing, but I'm going to tell it. Like, I was in the States. I was in my car. I was on a trip back home from Cyprus visiting. And it was like this rainy afternoon. And I went and got Wendy's, like fast food, and ate it in my car alone. And there's like rain on the windshield. And I was like, how am I going to make this thing work? And there was an interview on NPR on the radio with this guy. I can't even remember. He was some tech guy, like an engineer or something. And he was talking about how he became like the number one in his space. And he was like, I just every day for an hour, I just read about my craft. I just read about my industry. I just learn. And I was like, that is like amazing. Like, yeah, you don't have to be the best or have the most experience, but if you can know more than your client because you've learned it, then yeah, your client's not taking an hour today to research copywriting tips, persuasion marketing, content writing. They don't have that kind of time. You doing that for them automatically gives you value. Even if you don't have the experience, you're taking the time to learn that craft, that skill. So I started every day with an hour of just like
That is
reading a blog.
powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it really helped me gain the confidence to then turn around and write those emails. So I went straight from that into the emails. And when you're reading, you're always seeing like these statistics, right? Like, whatever it is, 76% of brands who blog have more organic leads, or whatever it is. HubSpot is full of them. I mean, they're all over the internet. Take one of those from a reputable source add it into your email and just say, you know, hey, I noticed your blog is a little quiet lately. Did you know that posting consistently can get you X amount of leads? And you don't have to cite the source or anything in your email, but make sure it's a legit statistic, obviously. And then now you are, especially if you're talking to someone like at the director level or higher, now you're speaking their language, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be assessed. They're
Yeah,
going to be
exactly.
assessed
Yeah,
certain
exactly.
KPIs. Yeah, but I mean, we know that in reality, 9 times out of 10, no one's going to sit there and go, did Brittany's blogs get me 70%? No. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, you know. A lot of things, there's a lot of variables in content marketing. But I think the thing is, like, they understand that you want it to be linked to outcomes when you put that data point in your email. And that you care about getting results, and that's all they want to see. From there, just be a decent person, just, you know, and it's got the gig. So yeah, so that's the second thing that I think needs to be in there. So you got your enthusiasm, your data point, and then I think from there it's just your samples. And I know there's a lot to be said on samples. Oof, that nut. How do we want to crack that nut? Are there folks here who don't have samples already?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, honestly. You know, so it's a chicken and egg situation. So what I usually say when people ask me I say to them that I first wrote on a blog on Medium for like a year before I started pitching at people. What that allowed me to do was I could share my Medium articles as my samples. For me, that's one hack I try to do. You set up your own blog because people would like to see your sample. I mean, most times you still probably do a paid test or a paid test. But it's still good to show what you can do because one, it shows you're taking action, you know, and it's kind of linked to what you said about outcomes, honestly. I mean, what you said about outcomes and about when you're pitching to people at director level and stuff. I think one thing writers need to learn to do is that writers most times I think it's a creative problem. Creatives tend to stay in their head and be creatives. We need to learn to step out and be business people. You know, I always call it the principal agency theory, where you say to yourself that the person I'm talking to, what's their problem? How do they think, or how do they approach this problem? You put yourself in their shoes and then you approach it from that aspect. If you look at it from your craft, you probably are never going to step out of your head. And what are those people looking for? One, they're looking for, does this person understand my problem or understand the fact that, you know, they're thinking from a strategy perspective. Does this person understand that I need to deliver on X? That's one. Does this understand that I need to show that I can deliver on X? You know, once you understand those two things, for me, it becomes much easier for you to push yourself to one. Maybe build out a personal blog first of all, and so that's your sample in itself. You know, or you can try other options. But for me, that's the one of the easiest ways to do it. And then you can even go a step further. And I've not done this before, but this is something I now say to anybody who's trying to start up a career. I say that when you want to start up a career, the best time to start up a career is when you don't need it, not when you need it. And how do I mean like this? So if you're looking for a writing job and let me use, for example, and so you go and send Brittany an email and say to her, hey, Brittany, I love your work, or blah, 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 blah. I need a job. I'm trying to hire, I'm trying to join it. It's a bit tough. Now, you could probably send a really badass email and she'll probably get one and she'll sign you up. But another way to actually even approach it is build out a couple of articles, send an email and say, hey, Brittany, I love your work. I really love if you could just take a look at these and, when you have the time, just take a look and advise me how to get this right better and stuff. When you take that kind of action, it's actually, I feel like and I've not done this, but I'm saying this is a theory I have right now, and I'm telling people to try that and see how it works. I feel like you get more response from people. What you're actually doing is, one, you're getting better at writing. Two, you're actually sharing samples in a way with people for people to see. And when they're looking to hire a writer, they'll probably say this. I mean, look, I've been probably chatting with this lady or this guy for the past 6 months, yo, we have a writing gig. Do you sure you would want to join us? Like, I feel like
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
a very low-fi way to just
Yeah.
get into something without having to, like without having if you're still at that level where you don't have samples, like, and you need
Yeah.
to just kind of just step up. Like that's a really
True.
good way to build good samples because
Mm.
I think we've said this before, writing is like running. It never gets easier. It's always hard. Like it's always
Yeah.
painful.
Oh God. Yeah. She's a cruel mistress.
Yeah, she's a cool mistress. Like she never leaves you. She never gives you any like, oh yeah, you're a master right now. You're good at your craft. Go kill
Done
it.
it.
Now every single day feels like you're still learning.
Yeah.
And you have but the best way to start doing that process is to get someone who's much better, more established to kind of edit your work and get better at it. But at the same time, what you're doing is actually sharing the samples out there with people to see. And then I feel like that's a very good way to kind of get into the industry or to get good clients or to work with good people. I mean, but it's a
Yeah.
hypothesis I'm testing out right now. And
Okay.
hopefully, hopefully I'll see how it works.
Nice. No, I mean, it worked for me in a way, like with, I hope she won't mind if she's on here. But Mujidat sent me an email to our writer's inbox and, she's just like, I really want this. And I'm like, I don't have anything right now. Like, I just don't have it. But I could feel her passion in that she really
Mm-hmm,
wanted to learn
mm-hmm,
and yeah, and so we opened up a small internship and then turned into a paid internship and hopefully we'll be able to keep developing together. But I think
yeah.
that's definitely when you're at the early stages, and even for me, like my old coaches were that for me, where like yeah, I'd paid for their coaching program to
Mm-hmm,
teach me how to pitch, but also the fact that they would look at that and give me feedback was
mm-hmm.
crucial. So if you can get like a mentor, just someone to kind of be a sounding board for you, I think that person will absolutely feel flattered that you asked
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
definitely think of you right away as soon as something opens up. So if that's
Yeah.
if that's where you're at, I think that's a cool approach. Let me know how it goes. The
Sure, sure,
response
sure.
you get.
And I think by the way, I think that is awesome. Like I was looking at I think because I still go to the Pointed blog every now and then to kind of read stuff. I
Oh
was looking at
gosh.
her work, I was like, yo, that's she crushing it. I love that. I love because I remember when she just like I really love her writing actually. So yeah,
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah. No, she's doing great. No, exactly. I mean, I think that's it. You just need someone to give you like a chance and also
mm-hmm,
some support and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
someone who's not afraid to give you real feedback. I find that that's
Yeah,
a really
exactly.
tough thing, I think it was easier for me because obviously like I'm from the States and I have that very like snappy American tone of voice is a natural thing. Like
Mm-hmm,
turning an American phrase is a natural thing. Like that's my
mm-hmm.
privilege in this space. But
Yeah,
other people don't have that. So I
yeah.
think for them, if no one's going to give them, you don't need to have that either 100%, right? In
Mm-hmm,
order to write good content. So that let's get
mm-hmm,
that out of the way.
mm-hmm,
But you still like we make mistakes when we're learning and we
mm-hmm,
need to be told sometimes. I can remember what the first piece I sent in to one of my coaches, Nikki Krozik at
mm-hmm,
Filthy Rich Writer, who
mm-hmm,
she has really good stuff to say on pitching if you want to follow her. But I sent her something and she was like, it's solid, but like you really need to lose this phrase because it won't make sense for your reader. And I was like, oh my God, this is actual feedback. Like someone's telling me line for line how to improve my craft. Like that's super valuable. And it's
yeah,
not something a
yeah,
lot of people do.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard to find someone who will do that for you.
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think exactly like get samples, get feedback on your samples. If you are at the stage where you have some samples, but maybe they're not getting you the kind of gigs that you want, then I would say an agency is another good stepping stone,
Mm-hmm,
where you can get decent work. Obviously, agencies, we have overhead, so we're not
mm-hmm.
going to be able to pay you as well as like a direct to some
Clients, yeah,
clients. But we will, you will get good samples typically,
yeah.
like the client
Mm-hmm,
roster will be good. So you'll get good
mm-hmm,
samples. And I think if you just kind of get like those 3 samples that just really sing, you know, that just people read and they're like, this is good
Mm-hmm.
ish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's all you need. You don't need this
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
massive portfolio, just
Yeah.
3 amazing
Yeah.
samples. And
Yeah.
then I think from there, you know, you can one other thing I would do in my pitches sometimes, especially when I was pitching or applying for
Yeah.
the job boards. Let's say I don't have samples for this health tech company, but I want to pitch them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would just say, you describe the format of your piece, right? So, like, I would put
Mm-hmm.
this sample and I would say, this was a webinar that we repurposed into a storytelling how to, or a
Mm-hmm.
storytelling
Mm-hmm.
piece or thought leadership piece,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And then even though you don't have the health tech sample, they're not going,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they didn't have health tech, so I'm not interested. They're going, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this person thinks strategically about
Mm-hmm.
the various types of content that are out there
Mm-hmm.
and how we can
Mm-hmm.
leverage our content and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that is a way to keep them are
Mm-hmm.
interested when you don't have samples in their industry.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Okay, so just kind of just asking the next question. So it's basically like, so like, how do you send the high number? Like, how do you send like just all those speeches without dropping in quality? I think that's extremely important.
Yeah, that's hard. So I think first you have to set a reasonable target, because if you set an insane target that you can't keep up with, you're just going to get really
Mm-hmm.
deflated. And if like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm the type of person like, I've kind of got anxiety and stuff, and like I freeze. Like when I have too much, too much going on, like I freeze. That's my response. You know, I don't know, what do I do first? Like, how do I tackle this list? So try to keep it like it should, I don't want to like use the
Mm-hmm.
SMART goal acronym, but like it should be
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
measurable, like you should have a
Yeah.
number, but also achievable, but like where you feel like,
Yeah.
oh, I need a drink after that. Like you're like, oh, that's kind of the good zone where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, that
Yeah.
number was 5, and I just did it every day, and it would eat up, honestly, it would eat up half my day.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I would do the 1 hour of learning and then maybe another 3 hours of pitching, and then it would be lunchtime, and I would
Mm-hmm.
do client work in the afternoon. And, again, like not everyone can do that. I was lucky I
Mm-hmm.
had childcare, I had a
Mm-hmm.
full-time employed spouse. Um, but if you can do that, I would say that's the way to do it. Put your client work after the pitching to make sure you do get a number out. And then, like I said, just spend a few minutes on the website and on the
Mm-hmm.
brand social media. Know what
Mm-hmm.
they're up to.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. Just when you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you've understood enough,
Mm-hmm.
write the email. Don't go any further.
Cool. Interesting, actually. Yeah. And for me, like, this is the most important question, actually. Like, it's like, it's so easy to get stuck with a poor paying clients or a crappy client. Like, so how do you break free of that fear? And it's maybe it's part imposter syndrome, maybe it's just part just not being sure of yourself or just being scared. Wondering whether because it's not about the freelance life, is that if you don't have a steady stream of clients, which is why pitching is good to do, you get scared of stepping out of the one you currently have to kind of focus on getting good clients. Like, how do you? So it's a mix of breaking free and just kind of saying to yourself, like, how do you move forward? Because I feel like that's most people just start fear of, you know what, stop this nonsense, move forward to the next one and just kind of, and get this thing right.
God, it's almost like any other toxic relationship, right? Like
Yeah.
you are usually by the time you've said enough,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you usually like you wish you
Mm-hmm.
would have done it earlier, right? Like,
Yeah.
but then again, that is how you learn, and that's what makes you more confident. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing more powerful than telling someone to F off because you
Yeah,
usually do
exactly. Yeah.
better. And it's definitely something that you'll have to do as a freelancer. It's just
Mm-hmm.
par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're caught in a cycle where you need this income, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't love this client,
Mm-hmm.
and they're keeping you so busy that you can't
Mm-hmm.
pitch. I had it myself, actually. There was one agency that didn't want to give me a retainer, but they did want to give me more work. And I said, listen, if you can put me on retainer so I don't have to spend all my time pitching,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this work at this rate for you. Oh, we can't really do that. Okay, then I can give you this much. This is how
Mm-hmm.
much I can give you. And it was 4 pieces and that was it. So I think find out whatever that amount is for you, like, and commit to drawing the line there. Especially if you still need the income, right? Like I was in a very cush position where my husband was working full time. Like I had full time childcare, so I could do it all day. I could do the pitching and the client work. But some of us can't, you can't do that. So
Yeah.
I think the thing there is to just, what can you do that gives you the minimum, right,
Mm-hmm.
amount that you want to make, and then also gives you time to pitch better clients.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that is
Hard.
I like that thing of just knowing what your baseline is. Just kind of think to yourself, like, this is where you are. This is what you can go past. I just kind of knowing, and I think it's kind of linked to knowing yourself, and because
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Brittany. I don't know whether we should take a 2 minute water break and then start taking questions, or you want to just take questions immediately. Whichever works for you. We'll take a 2 minute water break just to kind of just get our thoughts together, and then we start taking all the questions, because I'm sure everybody has a lot of questions. Does that work?
Yeah, that's good for me.
Okay, all right, folks. So we'll just take like a 2 minute water break. Just to kind of, we've been talking for the past almost 1 hour.
Uh,
So Blessing and other people have questions. Let's just take a 2 minute water break, and then we'll come back and start taking the questions.
okay.
All right? Yeah, sure. So we're back. Is Brittany ready for us? Yeah.
Really good questions. I'm like, whew, let's get into it.
Yeah. So I think Blessing has one on the Q&A already, but I'll just probably unmute her to talk. So yeah, let's do that. Gosh, she really has.
Yeah, she's got some good questions.
Yeah. So maybe we can just take the questions that she has already, and then maybe the next person, anybody that wants to talk, just raise your hand, or you can type in the Q&A. Anyone works. I think so. Have a Blessing. She says, is it okay to pitch to companies or agencies that you're not sure whether or not they're hiring? Sometimes this is encouraged. Other times it's said that one can get blacklisted this way. I mean, and I can understand. You don't want to feel like a nuisance. You're sending messages every single time to someone, and you're not sure that they want to hire at that point in time.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on LinkedIn is just to go back to basics for me. And again, like I'm not selling any social media selling courses. I'm not selling any LinkedIn courses. So like if you really, want to maximize that as your primary like sales channel, I would actually take one of those courses and learn from one of those people. But for me, I look at LinkedIn in kind of an old school back to basics way, where why am I here? I'm here to connect with people. I'm here for friends and followers. And that's the way I see all social media. I've never seen social media as a pitching platform. Now I know other people that do use it that way and have a lot of success that way. But so that's the bias that I'm coming into this with, right? So for me, I always used it as like, you know, after the call, to be honest, mostly. So I've gotten the call or a reply via email, and then I would send a connection on LinkedIn and say like, it was, awesome connecting with you earlier. Thought it'd be fun to connect here too. Low pressure. And then from there, if you're posting regularly, they're going to see your stuff. You can like their stuff. They're going to remember your name, because if you're liking and engaging with their content, they'll notice. Like I always notice when people are engaging with my content. But now if you want to pitch directly on LinkedIn, yeah, I don't know. I think if I was going to do it that way, I would probably just start off super friendly. I do have a couple connections on LinkedIn who fit my client profile. I never talk about work with them in the DMs though. In the DMs, we talk about stuff like TikTok. I'm not even kidding you. We just, like we talk about like what it's like to be a working mom, or like something weird in the news, or literally who our favorite person on TikTok is. And then when they post something about, marketing or the industry or whatever, I leave a thoughtful comment. And that's when maybe I feel like a conversation would emerge organically. So, but again, like that's my you have to choose your pillars, right? So my pillars were always cold pitching to companies that I had a passion for, regardless of niche, sending in applications to the right non-crappy jobs on the job boards, and then my network, right, which was just like people who I already knew. So yeah, if you want LinkedIn to be one of those, I'm maybe not the best person to give you advice there, because I just think it's a place to just connect and keep it chill. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've really never pitched on LinkedIn. Really. I mean, for me, basically, I think LinkedIn for me has been, but the funny part is that LinkedIn has also been a good lead gen for me, in the sense that I've gotten a couple of very interesting proposals and stuff from people on that place. So I can understand why people sometimes, well, some people, like you said, some people actually do pitch on it, and like it's super successful for them, and they get really good jobs. But again, I also feel like right now people are getting tired of that LinkedIn thing where you connect with someone and then next, after like two or three conversations, sending a cold pitch. I'm like, yo, what are you sending all that?
I think you should almost look at it the same way you look at the job boards, right? Like, that's the other place where there's a lot of potential opportunities, and then there's like a ton of emails and stuff. So how can you stand out? Like, knowing that like 10 other people have sent that person in a message today. What can you do differently to make it stand out? And then I'd go back to what I said before, maybe lose the data point, but keep the enthusiasm and like the friendliness. Like, what can you say that you actually mean about what you see that this person is doing? And I think the pressure, I think is really like Blessina put in the chat, like sometimes it feels like a thing of doing it and getting it done with. Totally get that. I think that's totally, we've all felt that pressure in pitching, and you will send some out that are like that. And that's part of the game. So don't beat yourself up over it. But if you can take that time to like just look at their past activity, what did they comment on? What did they post? And maybe try to just personalize it, say something more meaningful. I think that'd be the way.
Yeah, I think that she also had another question. I think if I was to summarize, it was just basically, so is it okay to just pitch to companies or agencies whether you're sure whether you're hiring or not? Because I know people, so people are wondering, there's no job available right now, whether there's a contact email or just stuff. So would you say send your pitch in whether there's a job open or not, or do you just wait till when you see an opportunity open on the agency board or on the company board and send the pitch in?
Yeah, I would do it. I would send that pitch. You know what I mean? Like, I've never really taken advice from people who have been like, oh, but you have to do it this way or you'll do that. I mean, okay, how's that working for you? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm getting that advice from someone who is a multimillionaire, then maybe I'll take it. But like, most of the time I find that a lot of people will give you advice of stuff that they don't want to do themselves, and they're looking for reasons not to do it. And this blacklisting thing sounds like one of those things. And if you're not going to show up like everybody else and just, hey, what can you do for me? Can you give me some work? If you're not going to take that approach, if you're going to actually be thoughtful about it and intentional about it, then why shouldn't you? Then you're bringing them value. Why shouldn't you give them what you have to offer? I wouldn't be afraid.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so any other questions? Does anyone have questions for Brittany? You can raise your hand up. You can type in the Q&A.
Those were good questions.
Yeah, those are really good questions.
Pronounced your name before. Sorry, it's Blessing, not Blessing. Thank you.
Thanks, Blessing. Any other questions, or do we just say thank you, Brittany, for a
go out there and kill it? Yeah, it's hard, but I think, just stick to it. It's that consistency that's the hardest,
Yeah. I think the key is just being consistent. You just keep going. Keep showing up. People underestimate. I think it was James Clear that wrote this thing about how if you you show up every day, you kind of improve every day. And at the end of the year, he said you improve by like 300%. Wow. So you're way better than who you were on the first time. But I think is the grind that people find very, very tiring. But I mean, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we have two questions actually. So someone says, because there's a Q&A session of the webinar side. I don't know if you can see
Burnout.
that. So it says, how do you arrive at a base rate for different forms of PCs? And what
Ooh,
factors determine your rate?
good question. So a guide that was crucial to me when I first started out, and I still use it today when I'm setting agency prices for our own team, is the AWAI annual pricing guide. AWAI, I think that's the American Writers.
Hawaii, American writers, and I know those guys, Hawaii or
Yeah,
something.
they do the pricing guide. I don't, to be honest, I've never done any other courses or anything like that, but I always, every year, download the pricing guide because it's the most definitive resource I feel that we have. And it's something concrete that you can point to should you ever need to. But yeah, I would work from there. And okay, if you feel like you don't have enough experience in one of those product categories, or in the pricing guide, you can do like a learning rate discount on it, maybe 10 or 20%, but don't go cutting those numbers in half. Like you can set your standards high. And yeah, but that's what I use as the baseline for that. And then with the burnout, I mean, I don't know, I make regular trips to the refrigerator for chocolate. I drink a lot of coffee. it's a constant, yeah. I
So
think
that burnout.
sometimes you just have to say it's not happening today, right? And you go take a shower and paint your nails and just don't let it be like 2-3 days. Just you got to know where the line is between like actually recharging and then like indulging too much, like, and it's a fine line, but you do need to take that time. So if you're getting burnt out, your pitches aren't going to land anyway, because they're going to be repetitive, robotic, because you're burnt out. You don't have it. So don't beat yourself up for being burnt out. You have to be effective. And for you to be effective, you need to take a break. And sometimes that's just, like going to the fridge and having a piece of chocolate and a walk around your yard and then going back inside and getting back to it. And sometimes that's like taking a full day off, or, off of pitching or whatever. You have.
Yeah, I don't know if you have any more questions. If not, Brittany, I'll be saying thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, this was so fun. Thank you guys for all your questions, and thanks for having me on. I missed you, man. It was good to see you.
Same here, honestly, same here. And thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.